And good evening. You're watching Late News Tonight on the ABC 10 Information Network. I'm Ananda Rochita.
And I'm Brandon Rittiman. It's a busy news day. More than 3 million people have no electricity in Northern California. It's a planned blackout by PG&E meant to prevent wildfires. And yet, we've seen fires all over Northern California today. The biggest of those fires raises new questions about whether PG&E's shutoff strategy actually works.
Now, first, we're tracking the Kincade Fire in Sonoma County. The latest update from CAL FIRE shows the fire is now at 54,000 acres. 94 buildings have been destroyed, nearly 200,000 people forced to evacuate. But keep in mind, these numbers may have changed since the last update. CAL FIRE updates us twice a day, in the morning and at night. Now, ABC 10's Kevin John is in Sonoma County tonight.
Yeah, that's right, guys. I'm actually going to just take this down just for this shot right here. The air quality out here is just horrendous, so you'll see a lot of us wearing masks. But at any rate, yeah, we're currently in Windsor right now. This is where the head of the fire is, and the Kincade Fire and where it's heading. At this point, over 54,000 acres have burned. As you can see behind me, this is what's left of a barn that actually has been burnt to the ground. There's actually a few other barns in this area that firefighters around here tried to salvage before it gets there. Excuse me, the air out here is just really, really bad. So just hang with me. But as you can see out in the distance, all you can see is just fire and flames for miles out there in the distance. Firefighters are doing everything that they can to contain it. At last check, we understand it's only at 5% contained. And one of the things that's not helping that is the wind. Over the last 24 hours, we've been getting a huge gust of wind coming in this direction. Keep in mind, this fire started about 13 miles from where we're at right now. But due to those heavy winds, it has just been carried it on over in this direction. So with that being said, a lot of people in this area have been forced to evacuate. We were talking to a resident earlier about 3 miles away from here that was saying that they're trying to evacuate. They're just trying to get their cat and their dogs and all their other animals. So you can just imagine the challenges that provides when, you know, people obviously have to leave their home at a second's notice. So, you know, there are a list of evacuation centers that we have on our website, abc10.com. But once again, I mean, this is the scene out here. As you can just see, just for miles and miles, just nothing but fire and flames. It is a little bit better contained than it was when we first got out here. When we first got out here, I mean, there were flames shooting all over the place. Is a little bit better, but once again, this wind is not helping the fire. It's helping the fire spread, but it's not helping the job of the firefighters as they continue to try to fight it. So we're continuing to keep you guys updated on our website, abc10.com. But for now, I'm in Windsor, and this is where the head of the fire is at. So I'm going to turn it back over to you guys. I'm going to put my mask back on for this air.
So he was talking about the smoke. We actually had to move him from that area because it got so dangerous.
Yeah, the fire crews start yelling at you, you get out of there. I mean, you have the right to cover as media here, disaster, but when the fire guys are telling you this is not a safe place to be, it's not a safe place to be, and we're glad that he moved. We'll keep in touch with him throughout the night. Earlier tonight, Governor Gavin Newsom was in Petaluma meeting with people who are impacted by the Kincade Fire. He renewed his demand that PG&E compensate people for losses caused by their blackouts, and he tried to find the positive in these fires.
Deep sense of pride that you feel as you visit these sites, large and small, to the broader community that is California that's being impacted by this challenging moment in our history with, I'm cautious when I say this, but near historic wind event at a scale and scope the likes of which we haven't seen in some time. That precipitated today with a new statewide emergency declaration because 43 counties now are impacted by red flag warnings and by these severe weather conditions.
Now, the Kincade Fire raises a whole lot of questions about PG&E's blackout strategy writ large and whether it's actually keeping us safe. The company shut off the power in the area where the fire started, the Kincade Fire, but only to distribution lines. Those are your neighborhood power lines. We're not talking about the big high-tension lines. One of those is being investigated as the possible cause of this fire that's burning up Sonoma County. And if that sounds familiar to you, That's because a PG&E transmission line caused the Camp Fire last year, which killed 85 people. A jumper on one of the towers failed in high wind, showering the ground below with sparks and lighting that fire. PG&E didn't used to shut off the big power lines in its blackout program, but after the Camp Fire last year, it did start shutting them off. And shutting those big lines off means that a lot more people go without power, and that is why millions of us are in the dark tonight. And as much as PG&E tries to make the blackouts all about bad weather, the chief of CAL FIRE told me these big transmission lines really shouldn't fail in windstorms.
Transmission lines are very resilient to most conditions, and they're built to withstand extreme winds, and usually they're not a cause of large damaging fires.
It's not the kind of thing you would expect to happen.
It's not the kind of thing that we would expect to happen.
That interview, by the way, comes from our ABC 10 original series, Fire, Power, Money. It was a year in the making. You can watch all 3 episodes of it right now on YouTube or by typing in firepowermoney.com in your web browser. We break down the entire crisis with wildfires and utilities that led us to this moment tonight.
We're also following a fire that started around 9 this morning in Vallejo near I-80. The highway was shut down in both directions, closing the Carquinez Bridge for hours. The Cal Maritime Academy evacuated because the fire was so close. Now, I just want to show you this video that one of you sent to us. This was at the toll bridge in Vallejo earlier today. Just look at those flames. It was just so scary. And here's another one on 80 near Vallejo with flames and smoke. And because of that fire and the shutoffs, Vallejo declared a water emergency. In fact, Vallejo called for a state of emergency because of all of this, Brandon.
Yeah, it set off a different problem in the city of Vallejo, as you were saying, declaring an emergency tonight because of these power outages. The city is short on drinkable water thanks to the blackouts there. And my good friend Anastasia Bolton flew in to help us cover this crisis this weekend from our sister station in Houston. She is in Vallejo now. Anastasia, people there are being told not to use the water tonight.
Yes, they actually are forbidden essentially to water outside, and they're asked to really conserve the water inside, meaning showers, flushing the toilet, doing the dishes, anything you can think of that we use the water for. They are asked to please use less of it. Take a listen to what the spokesperson for the city had to tell us tonight.
Not in the last several years. We haven't seen restrictions on water like this. We have had other major water main breaks where water has been impacted and people have been completely without water. And so we did kind of operate the EOC 4 years ago for the Broadway water main break. But that was about a quarter to a half of the community. So this is something that the city has experienced kind of on a different level. We've been able to support our residents in getting water back on and getting bottled water and those needs fulfilled. It's just a different event because of the power outage. So as soon as we can get raw water flowing again, we'll be able to treat it and turn it around very quickly.
So the reason for the declaration, or one of the things that is good about the declaration of emergency here by the city manager, is that the declaration of emergency will give the city access to state funds to deal with this particular power outage. Now, you might be wondering, well, she's covering the power outage, but you could see lights behind her. So that right there is a theme park. And so it is interesting because we are standing in a place where, of course, there is electricity. There is electricity all around us. However, if you go a couple of miles in either direction, that's where it becomes pitch black. No lights in the homes, no traffic lights, nothing. So we're told by the city leaders that about 30 to 40% of residents are affected or impacted by the power shutoff, and all of them are affected by the water restrictions, and that is about 122,000 people who are asked to really limit their usage of water for the foreseeable future. Brandon.
All right. The water's or the lights are on at Six Flags. The water's out everywhere. At least they're wanting people not to use it so they don't draw it down. Anastasia Bolton, thank you very much. We are going to get back out to the Kincade Fire in Sonoma County.
Yeah, and Kevin's been tracking that. We actually had to pull him away because it got so dangerous. Kevin, you're at one of the evacuation centers from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that is right, Ananda. You know, we've been out here for about 4 to 5 hours earlier today, just tracking this Kincade fire. We were actually up right near it earlier, right near the head of the fire, right in the heart of Wisner up there. And what's interesting is that at the point where we were at, it wasn't as bad. It started growing a little bit, but within the last 30 to 45 minutes, that fire really started taking off. As a matter of fact, firefighters, CHP, everybody was saying, you guys have to get out of here, have to flee out of here. That's why we're still in our yellow suits right now, because we're literally just coming down from there. But getting to those evacuation centers, I'm actually right in front of one right now. This is the Sonoma County Fair Evacuation Center. There's actually more than 400 people inside of there right now. I would take you guys inside, but they are sleeping. I have a loud voice. I don't want to wake up anybody in there. But this is one of the evacuation centers that is open. They still have beds available as well. There's another evacuation center right across the street that is full. But in the meantime, this is one of the ones that is available. So if you are being forced to evacuate, you can come down here. They have beds, shelter, food, and everything for you.
Yeah. As you yourself were ushered out of the fire zone, so you know all too well what that's like, but it's not your house. These people are really having to deal with quite something for who knows how many days at this point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, it's interesting. I was talking to one of the firefighters up where we were in Windsor, and he was saying that a lot of people did not want to evacuate. Part of the challenge is they're telling these people you have to leave your house now, but you know, some of these people have pets and other things, and it's hard just to get up at a second's notice and leave, but just know getting up at a second's notice can save your life. So he told me the main thing is if they tell you to evacuate, please evacuate, because it can save your life. And we were just up there. We saw how crazy that fire is getting right now.
All right, Kevin, John, out at the Kincade Fire, which I know fire crews are desperately hoping does not cross 101 and head towards the Pacific Ocean. We want to show you this grass fire. This was actually in Natomas, much closer to home here for us in Sacramento. This closed down I-5 in both directions for hours between Sacramento and the airport. I-5 is open again now, but it was shut down for most of the afternoon. 3 cars caught fire there, but all the people inside were able to run away safely.
And firefighters are working on a fire in the Grass Valley area near Sutton Way and Idaho-Maryland Road. CAL FIRE tells us it is at 8 acres and still burning. It started just before 1:30. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office says there are no evacuations yet, but they want people to be paying attention just in case. They're asking people to avoid the area where the fire is burning as they work to get it under control.
Last we heard, that one was contained, at least at this point, so that's good news. Not helping the fire situation today, those high winds. You probably felt them all day, even last night, but they are adding to the fire danger that we are seeing. We've seen pictures from you guys right here in Midtown Sacramento. You got trees down on power lines and on the streets. At one point, SMUD saying they had 2,000 customers without power here. That was not a planned shutoff. It just happened.
Yeah. And we want to go over to Monica because she's been tracking all these high winds as well. Monica, what's going on?
All right, heading into tonight, the foothills really the focus of all that wind energy. You can see in between the El Dorado and Placer County line, we are getting some wind gusts up to about 65 to almost 70 miles per hour. Down the hill just a bit, this is going to be about a 64 mile per hour wind gust just north of Georgetown. So just be prepared that wind gusts will continue for much of the foothills. Over towards the coastal range, this was earlier today, almost 100 mile per hour peak wind gusts near that Kincade fire. As far as tonight, more of the energy in the focus area of the Sierra foothills, more so than, say, the coastal valley. Now, we're still going to find some pockets in there that will still have some very gusty winds, so our high wind warning remains in effect for parts of the coastal valley. As far as to the east side of the state, more so towards Yosemite. But that red flag warning continues for almost the entire part of northern and central California because everything is so dry. So even winds at about 15 miles per hour can spread a fire very fast. Let's take a look at the timeline now. What are we expecting through the rest of tonight into tomorrow? Wind gusts primarily right through the Sierra foothills, as you can see here at midnight, over 50 miles per hour, especially in that 80-50 corridor. By about 3 a.m., everything is winding down. We are in the clear for much of our Monday afternoon, but look at this. We are right back at it, heading into our Tuesday afternoon, which is going to be a critical time frame, a 24-hour period to get better containment on this fire, the Kincade fire, as it's starting to head towards Windsor. So really just a 24-hour period where we have lighter winds.
All right, Monica, thanks. And now we're going to take a little trip up Highway 50.
Yeah, Giacomo Luca is in Pollock Pines where the power is out. Giacomo.
Well, that's right. It is incredibly quiet here in Pollock Pines. The wind has definitely died down compared to what it was a few hours ago. The only thing that we can hear is the roar of the generator that's powering this gas station right behind me. Something that many of the businesses in this area have had to resort to, as well as folks that live in this area purchasing generators to be able to have electricity when these public safety power shutoffs come in. Now, we talked to some folks that live in the area. This is going into day 2 of the PSPS for Pollock Pines, but they've had a couple of these public safety power shutoffs already. Saturday night, again, is when that public safety power shutoff started. So we're going into the second day, and tomorrow will be day number 3. Lots of schools and businesses are going to be shut down. We spoke with some folks in the area about what these mean for them.
Not real happy. It's poor maintenance that caused it. On the other hand, I guess it's better than wildfires, but not by a lot. A situation that could have been easily avoided years ago. You know, there are businesses in this town that are losing money hand over fist right now. You know, most of the residents, we've got generators. You know, it's a little expense, it's a little hassle, but it's not going to hurt anybody, and very few of us are going to be in serious jeopardy. What about the residents here that are too poor, or the businesses that don't have enough or can't afford a large enough generator to keep that up all the time? All right, they're killing our local businesses.
Now, a lot of the folks that we spoke with, they say they have mixed emotions about these public safety power shutoffs. A lot of them say, while they understand the necessity because they are in a very high fire-prone area, they want to make sure that they keep the coals underneath PG&E and they hold them accountable for taking care of and maintaining those power lines. We're live in Pollock Pines. Back to you.
All right, Giacomo, thanks.
Well, all right, still ahead, we have a lot more to talk about tonight. The PG&E power shutoffs affecting so many people in Northern California.
And believe it or not, we could see yet another round of shutoffs this very week. Some people may not even see the power come back on in between the two. More on that after the break.
The power of information, the speed of news. Faster, stronger, more connected. The all-new ABC 10 Information Network. Connected to you. Powered by Xfinity.
Well, the weather and the fires aren't the only big news stories going on today.
No, we've still got more than 3 million people who don't have the lights coming on right now.
And so we want to show you this PG&E outage map. All those purple dots show places where the power is out because of extreme fire danger. Customers across 38 counties are without power right now. That makes this PG&E's biggest preventative power shutoff ever, even bigger than the massive shutoffs 2 weeks ago. Well, keep in mind, Cal OES says one customer averages to mean about 3 people, which means millions of Californians are without power right now. And if you want to check out this map for yourself, we could send you the link. Just text power to 916-321-3310 and we'll text it to you. And the whole reason PG&E is doing this is to prevent fires. That's what they say.
Yeah, and it is warranted, but as we explained, there are questions about whether it's working. Also, though, PG&E warning today they're likely to shut the power off again starting Tuesday and maybe Wednesday of this week because they say strong winds, they're coming back and the system can't handle it. That means some of those people who are out right now may not have the power restored from this current outage until after that next round of shutoffs. That means some people could be without power for as much as an entire week.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy for a lot of people that are impacted. But PG&E says they're opening up community resource centers during the day. Each one has room for about 100 people. There are restrooms, a place to charge your phone, and water. And we have a full list of locations on abc10.com.
All right, turning to our weather, take a look at this time-lapse video of the Kincade Fire looking off in the distance from the east off to the west. The fire literally takes over the camera. We've been following this fire throughout the day. Look at how much smoke it's been putting up. Now, as far as the Gilmore backyard, things are very quiet here in the valley for tonight. But turning back to that smoke, you can see the big plume pushing off the coast here, driven by those northeast winds, those offshore winds. And look at this, the big concentration right through the North Bay area. However, many of us in the valley, we're still getting some smoke. We had a few spot fires that were contributing to that, but we had hazardous air through much of the northern San Joaquin Valley, Stockton, Modesto, towards the Delta, for Rio Vista, Ileton, even towards the East Bay areas of Antioch and Livermore. Through the day, things start to quiet down just a little bit, so we saw less of that smoke concentrated in the valley. Peak wind gusts over 50 miles per hour for some parts of the valley and the coastal valley areas towards the foothills. Little lighter, but we're still seeing those gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour right now. Again, tonight we're clearing. We have clear skies. Winds are calming down to about 5 miles per hour by early tomorrow morning. It'll be a chilly start at 46 degrees with our sunrise at 7:27. As far as our highs today, in the 70s up and down the valley, pretty typical, but we had highs only in the upper 30s and lower 40s for the Sierra, and a few snowflakes around the Yosemite area where they have a red flag warning in effect right now. That just shows you how severe the winds are. Tomorrow we'll see sunshine across the board here. Highs will stay in the 60s and 70s down low. 50s up top, but a 13-degree low there. And then we talk about that next weather event. You just heard Brandon and Ananda mentioning that. Extreme fire weather conditions today, critical in the morning, but then we drop off pretty rapidly for the afternoon. And we have calmer conditions through the middle part of Tuesday. That's our 24-hour opportunity to get better containment of the Kincade Fire, hopefully get power restored, because we might be right back at it Tuesday afternoon. Temperature wise, again, starting off in the teens tomorrow morning for the Tahoe Basin, 50s for afternoon highs. Still have that red flag warning in effect for the foothills. Highs tomorrow in the 60s to near 70. Straight across the board, it's sunshine, but Tuesday into Wednesday, we're looking at the return of winds. Not quite as widespread as what we saw with this last event. In fact, some folks in the Bay Area may be able to keep their power Tuesday into Wednesday because it looks like this is going to hug the east side of the state. Highs in the 70s for the northern San Joaquin Valley as well as the Sacramento region after starting off with morning lows closer to about 40 to 45 degrees. It'll be quite chilly the next couple of mornings. Lows will be hovering in the 30s to right around the lower 40s. Right now, looks like Halloween will be dry, lighter winds, highs in the low 70s. So we're just looking at getting through that next event Tuesday into Wednesday.
And as we talked about, not a drop of rain in sight.
Not for the next 10 days.
All right. Well, thanks, Monica. Well, from Major League Soccer to NBA basketball, it was a busy week for sports in Sacramento. ABC 10's Lena Washington has a look at what's to come on Toyota Sports Extra after this.
Mic check, a huge week for sports in Sacramento. Wonderful. Alrighty.